Hi, I'm Anita Burns. This is An Open Mind. Welcome. My guest today is Share Starwas, someone I have known for a very, very long time. We go back, 20 years or so?
At least.
Yeah, and I've always had a great admiration for her skills and her ability as an extraordinary psychic. She works in a rather unusual way from many of the psychics I've known. In that she is pretty straightforward and honest and blunt about what she sees for you. And I've always appreciated that and had a great respect for that. So, welcome, Cher.
I'm trying to think of something really blunt to say to you now.
Well, I remember one time when I came to you for a reading. I'd been in a relationship I was thinking about getting out of, and you just laid it out and said, "Girl, you stayed too long at the party. Get your butt out of there." Best advice I could have had.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful.
No,
I
thank
get a couple of stories like that
Yeah,
every now and
thank
then.
you.
Yeah. Well, here's how I think about that. Is I feel that people are spending their good money to get a reading, and they want honesty and clarity, and why waste their time? You know, why give them the soft version of what they need to hear when they can call their mom and get that. I want them to know what their options are, what their options aren't, so they can make good decisions for their life. I'd like to give them the truth flat out so that they can make better choices. And I don't think that by fiddling around with this and I don't know how to be anything but blunt. That's the other part of it.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of psychics, especially some who are new in the business, are a little afraid to say the bad news, or they don't really know how to talk to someone.
No bad news. Information is always good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think some people are a little afraid of that, or they want to make the person happy or pleased, and so they're a little afraid to.
Or they have a
move
need to
forward.
be liked.
Sometimes,
I don't care about.
sometimes, psychics are people too.
I don't care about people liking me or not.
So you brought your cards and,
I did.
and your beautiful crystal ball. So tell me a little bit about how you read the ball and maybe how you acquired such a gorgeous piece.
Actually, I didn't acquire it. It acquired me. I saw it in a store in Hemet, and it was on the shelf, and I just thought it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw, but I never, didn't know how to read a ball. And so I did a kind of not such a good thing. I kind of put a protection on it until I could afford it.
It worked.
Well, and actually the next time I went in, I said, I just love the ball, but I can't afford it. And she just said, take it home and just pay when you can.
Wow.
And it took me a year to pay it off, and it was interesting because I didn't see anything in it until I paid it off.
Isn't that funny?
It is funny. I thought it was very funny.
So now it's yours.
Then when it was mine, it started talking to me. The funny thing is the first thing I saw, and it was a dragon. I mean, it was a winter day, and I live in the mountains, and I had the fire going, and I was by myself, and I'm looking at the ball. I always kept it in the living room because I thought it was beautiful, even if I couldn't read it. And then one day I saw a dragon. At that instant, my phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was my high priest, a man by the name of David, and he called and said, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "I just saw a dragon in the ball." And he goes, "Oh, that's wonderful. That's a sign of wisdom." And then I was all feeling kind of, wow, now I've got it down, right?
Of course.
And actually, I started putting it out when I gave readings. I would look in it, and I started seeing tarot cards in it. And then I felt like I was cheating because I was just reading the cards in the ball. But then I recognized my guides were probably so frustrated at that time. They just said, "You know what? Let's give her symbols that she gets." And then I did that for 2 or 3 months, and then and then I started seeing things. And everybody says you see the clouds and this happens. Nothing like that for me. It's just like I play around with a little bit and something forms, and then I just interpret what I see.
Yeah, that's the same way. I never saw the
Symbolic.
clouds or
Yeah, I
anything
never-
like that. Stuff just sort of pops in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have a ball that's elegant or beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is quite lovely. It's
Yeah,
I just love. I like all the inclusions. I think that's beautiful.
I do too.
Well, I use the ball in combination with the cards for most of my readings, and the cards take care of the everyday stuff, and what I think is everyday stuff. And then when I go into the crystal ball towards the end of the reading, it's it's more the heavier stuff, like when you want to speak to the dead grandma on the other side, or way far distant future, or maybe more spiritual.
So does it kind of fill in the gaps from
It's
maybe
kind of
what's
different. The more mundane on on the physical plane, and maybe just a little more on the spiritual. And
okay,
but they bleed into each other really.
yeah. And I noticed, a lot of people use a particular layout for the cards, like the Celtic cross.
I start out that way,
and you just you just kind of, well, here, and pretty soon the whole table is full of cards, and you're pushing them around, but somehow the message comes through.
I don't know where that came from. I mean, of course I do the Celtic cross because it looks good and people expect to see it, and I want everybody to be comfortable, you know. But then as I'm giving the reading, and I know you do this too, cards talk to each other and they belong together, and so I just put them together till they tell me a little story that most times happens to be just right on.
Yeah, it just sort of comes. Did you have any formal training in the tarot, or did it just sort of come to you?
I took one class. I took one class, but I'll tell you, it as soon as I got out of the class, I started doing it my own way because I never remembered what the cards meant.
And that's the right way anyway, isn't it?
Intuitively. For me, it's the right way, yeah. I think really intuitively. So they just were just sort of like the key to the door. So once I got into class and I thought, oh, yeah, I can't do it like this, and I went home and did my own thing. It was immediate. I was just so hooked on it.
Yeah.
It was a seduction, they seduced me.
First thing I tell my students is take the little book and the cards things and burn it. And they think it's like a ritual.
That's absolutely right, though. It's like, why would you read somebody else's interpretations?
Yeah.
It's when you're right there with that energy and that person.
And that interferes, I think, with the flow of intuition, where you've got the cards down and you're going, okay, let's see, 10 of Cups.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
That means this. Okay, 5 of Wands. And that's not connecting.
That's right, and I also don't put them upright and upside down, and I don't do that. They're all upright because they're telling a story to me. If they were upside down, it'd be like somebody wants to show me a picture of their baby and they give it to me upside down. I can't tell if that's a cute kid or not. So no. So yeah, I just put them all upright and play around with them a little bit. They whoever they are, sort of influences all that. There's no sort of method to the madness. It's just madness.
And well, for me, that's a sign of a true psychic, because there are card readers that can go the Celtic cross or whatever layout.
And they're strict.
This means past. This means present. This means future. This means the question. This means obstacles, and so forth and so on. And they know the technical aspects, and they might get kind of close that way. But a true psychic like you, I think, uses the cards, uses the ball as sort of a springboard for what messages are coming from Spirit.
Yeah, thank you, Anita. That's why we're friends. We agree on that. Yeah.
Now, you brought 3 decks. You brought a Rohrig deck.
Yeah, this is this beautiful blue one, and this is from Germany.
I love this deck. This is one of my favorite decks. Unfortunately, I think it's out of print now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, when I go to Germany, I'll bring you one. But they're beautiful cards.
They are beautiful
lovely,
cards.
And they're big. I like big because I'm a Leo. And I'm getting older, so I can see them.
And there's the Aleister Crowley deck, the Thoth deck.
Yeah, the Thoth deck. This is my favorite. It has been. This one really opened the door for me. This is my favorite. And I'm kind of prejudiced. If somebody says they're a card reader and they pull out any deck but this, I have my doubts. And I know it's not fair, but this is a heavy deck. You gotta be, And when we just had a thing when I was over at the Awareness Center, and we had some time to kill, so I wanted to read the cards, and I asked David if I could borrow his deck, and he gave me this deck, and I thought, attaboy. I have so much more respect for him now. Even, I want to say, more respect than I did before it. Yeah,
that's a very interesting deck. I mean, it comes from the mind of a genius, I think. And
I can read it anyway.
Yeah. And it's very different from say the Rider-Waite, which is the standard deck that people learn from.
Yeah, my least favorite deck.
Yeah. And then you have the Osho Zen, which is not
quite tarot.
Not quite tarot, but not quite not.
Gorgeous
deck. It's a gorgeous deck. And it speaks to me. I really enjoy this deck
I
very much.
think this is a wonderful deck. It's just so spiritual. And I use this the very last part of the reading because it ties everything together. You know how I said they bleed into each other? It just confirms everything and makes it simplistic, and it's just, you know, I just get emotional when I pick up this deck. And
I do too.
It's this is my favorite, but I'll tell you, this is a close second.
This is your touchy-feely deck for me.
Oh, yeah, and I love Osho anyway. I read everything.
Yeah, so. It's very interesting. So you start off with
this one,
that one, then that one. And yeah, you used to read what was the round ones? I can't remember.
Mother Peace.
Mother Peace. And
very good deck. Very good deck because very favorable to women. And you know, that was when I was more, you know, matcha. No, I can think of myself kind of androgynous. You know, kind of. There's no kind of sex either way. You know, everybody's a soul. You know. So.
But you know, it makes a statement. So I know that you work the Renaissance Fair in Southern California, and you have worked some also in other fairs. How do they compare, you know, the big fair to some of the smaller ones?
Oh, the Renaissance Pleasure Fair has been going on for over 40 years, maybe 45 years, 48 years, I forgot. And so it's the big...
That long?
Yeah, it's the big super humma-humma-ligera of fairs, you know. And it's just huge. It's wonderful. The same people come back. Grandchildren are doing it, you know, from years... You know, have been brought to the fair as children, and you know, babies have been born there. Many babies have been conceived there. That's another story. But no, it started the whole thing. And some of the smaller ones are great fun. You know, they're great fun, and you get to be like a gypsy and go all over. Where the big fair stays for 6 or 8 weekends, and you know, and you build a really nice booth, and it really feels medieval and special. The energy there is fantastic.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more rowdy, if I remember right, before they put down some rules.
They had to put some. I don't know why they had to, but the rowdiness is still there. But after the gates close, and but it's good, clean fun. It's not craziness. Nobody's ever in danger or any of that. It's just a nice, congenial group. And it's family.
So, what are some of the most interesting things that have happened to you at the fair?
Oh God, I couldn't tell you. But I think just being part of the family and being accepted, and I'm very honored because when I first started doing the fair, like 18 years ago, there used to be like 20 psychics, and now there's 3, and I'm one of the 3 left. So I feel very special.
Is that because they cut down, or
they cut down, and I don't know why they cut down, because I love having a lot of psychics there, and it doesn't seem to make a difference if there's a few or a lot. You know, we just have a wonderful time, and I like that they put us all together, like, you know, the psychics are together.
Gypsy Village used to be called.
Yeah, they'd call it all kinds of different things, Witch's Way, and you know, but it's beautiful. It's so many interesting things. I couldn't name them. They happen on a daily basis there. I think a lot of it has to do with in connections to the readings and the connectedness with people. What I find is quite interesting is because you're doing a number of readings during the day. You know, you might do 20 readings, for instance, and you'll get a run of signs. Like out of the 20 readings, like 13, 14 will be Geminis, for instance. Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
So I'm sure it's influenced by astrology, but you'll see that trend. And you'll the next day it'll be all the Sagittarius people will come in, and yeah. So I noticed that just consistently wherever I'm at, where I'm doing a lot of readings in one day.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't ask people for people's signs. Maybe I'll start asking and
you'll be surprised
and find out. Yeah,
it's quite amazing, very amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you like give me a little demo for the people?
Oh, sure. All right.
Do you mind?
No, of course not. Just mix it up.
Muss them up.
Knit them up.
Aleister Crowley was such an interesting person.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
Talk about someone who didn't care what other people thought.
Maybe that's why I just like his deck so much. He's honest. You know. Oh, look at there. This is wonderful. Choices coming your way, of course. That shows up. Good communication. Whatever you're doing having to do with communication.
Maybe today.
Working for you. Let's hope. Any Geminis in your life?
No.
Well, expect one. That'll be fun. They're interesting.
Oh, actually, there may be. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's always good when you end up with the Wheel of Fortune as your destiny card. You know, the last card. Some changes coming up, but it's going to kick some new energy your way. You're sitting on the sun, which means good time, popularity, opening up. You're willing to work hard, but then you have your limits. You know, but some new projects can go a little slower than you anticipate, but the change is definitely there. Excellent communication on all levels. You're a good psychic, so that helps. You're doing this show. That's wonderful, but you don't have to stop there. Some new things could be coming, and you work very, very hard. You're coming from a good place. I love the Virtue card. It doesn't mean you're a saint. I know you. And you're not. But I think you try to do the right thing in spite of that. Partnerships work well for you at this time, maybe not forever. The Wheel of Fortune card is really one of my favorite cards because it's so interesting to me. You know, there are psychics that'll say, and I disagree, sorry, but they'll say you're always on, you know, you're always where you're supposed to be for your highest good. And I think that's just a load of, you know, I think that we fall off the destiny path all the time. You know, I think the Wheel of Fortune is we're born here, we're going to end up here, and there's a straight shot. Who does a straight shot? We're human. So
certainly
we
not me.
You know, we marry the wrong guy, you know, we take drugs, whatever, and we're off the wheel. When you end up with this card, it means you're right where you're supposed to be. You are at this time. Now tomorrow you could fall off.
Well, I think my life path has been more like the drunkard's walk. You know?
Hopefully, it makes life a little more interesting, and it's okay to make mistakes. I don't think there's really mistakes, and I think that if we were absolutely perfect and did this destiny through our whole life, it would be. Why would we be here? Yeah. Why would we?
What's the point?
Yeah. What's the point? How could we grow? But this is wonderful because you're certainly headed to closer and closer to your destiny.
Great.
You know, so it's quite a beautiful spread. You did well.
Well, how cool is that?
Very cool. You've got some money coming in, but you got to earn it, girl. Got to work hard. You know, working hard.
Yeah.
Which you're not afraid to do.
Yeah. So I can't retire to Tahiti yet and sit in my hammock and have.
You could retire to Tahiti anytime, but you have to take your cards and stuff with you because you need to work there a little bit. Yeah.
Oh well. Oh well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of major cards too, which is, you know, there's 78 cards in the deck and 22 are major. So for you to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in just a 10-card spread tells me that you're kind of being led now. The higher forces are leading you in a good direction. You know, sometimes our life is cause and effect. When we get a lot of minor cards, to me it means, you know, if you do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z will happen. When you get major cards, it says, you know what? Just go. When they pull you, kind of just go.
Yeah, I've been feeling that.
Because sometimes the higher powers know better. You know?
Always.
Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell.
Well, thank you.
You're
thank
welcome.
you very much.
You're quite welcome.
So, what are you doing now? What plans do you have for your future?
I never make plans for my future. In fact, I don't even get readings very much because I don't care. I like to wing it. But I'll be going in a couple of months to Europe. I work at the Parapsychology Association in Switzerland, in Basel and Zurich. And I have clients also in Austria, and I stay in Austria while I'm there. And that's the big next thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I do that every year for about a month to 6 weeks.
So, when you're in Europe, do you find a different kind of clientele there from here, or are people the same everywhere, or
both? I mean, they're very different. The culture's different. I sort of, when I go there now, because I've been going for a number of years, I sort of get in that mindset so I can relate better. So I become, I guess, more European. I don't know. But it's a shift I'm not too much aware of, you know, doing now. And people are the same everywhere, but not. They're just, you know, different cultures. You know, so how your presentation will be a little different, yeah.
But they're concerned about the same things or different things?
Absolutely.
Same things?
Oh, sure.
Love, money, relationships, family.
And I don't want to insult anybody here in the United States, but they seem to be much more open to this and much more being very aware that they're on a spiritual path, at least the people that come to me. Where here I get that. I get a lot of that, in all fairness to my wonderful clients, but I also get people that just want to know how much money they're going to make, and you know, they're pretty, you know, on the mundane, and we want their lottery numbers. You get that, I'm sure. You know, that's the number one question.
Tell
here.
people if I could do that, would I be doing this for a living?
Yeah, right, me too. I'd be traveling, yeah. But an interesting thing happened to me when I was in Austria, is I wanted to read. There's a high population, Turkish population there in Austria.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they go to Austria, I think, originally to work. Like the Mexicans come up here to work. So so they have their place there. It's quite nice, and it brings a lot of nice different culture in the area, like the Turkish carpets. That's nice. But I wanted to read the cups when I was there, because I know how to read the Turkish coffee, you know. So I went into a store with my friend Günther, and we purchased some cups. And the lady that was selling them, you know, she was talking German to Günther, right? She didn't know English, and she said, "What does she do?" And he said, "Oh, she reads the cups." And she goes, "Would she come tomorrow and read some cups?" And I thought, you know, I really didn't want to do it, but I thought, oh, I'd just give a little demonstration. I said, "Sure, I'll come read your cups tomorrow," you know. And I brought, and she had like 4 people there. I didn't get paid for it, but that wasn't the point. It was a good experience, you know, learning experience for me. So I sat there, and at one point she had her mother, and she was sitting here, and I was sitting here, and Günther was here. So I would say something in English, Günther would say it in German to her, and she would say, you know, in Turkish to her mother. It reminded me of that, you know, that telephone game. And every time it would finally get around to her, the mother would go, "Oh yeah," and she'd be all happy. And I'd think, I wonder if she got the right message. I wonder how much she really got, you know. So it's very interesting. That was one of the best experiences I've had, though.
I had a similar experience in Paris where I don't remember exactly. David could probably be a better memory than I do, but we had an interpreter who was interpreting in French to someone else, and German to someone else, and English to someone else, and it got so confusing. She would turn to me and start speaking in German.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But it went around and around and around. It was a very interesting experience, waiting for your question and waiting for your answer.
I just love those experiences, though. I feel like when I'm in Europe, I'm winging it more. You know, it's like whatever is, you know. And here I pretty much, because I have my office and whatever, I know my schedule and whatever, and it's just kind of, you know, it's kind of, you can do it in a very off-the-cuff, in-the-moment time. I think that's what I love about travel, is you have to be in that moment. It forces you. That's the way we should all live. But when you're in another country, and if you make a mistake with the language, you're on the wrong train, you know, so you have to be very aware, you know, all the time.
Yeah, like in Greece, if you're not careful, you'll, instead of saying good morning, you'll call somebody a squid. Calamari, calamari.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I've had some experiences like that, too, yeah.
So, question I ask all psychics that I interview is, what advice would you give someone who has a gift but doesn't really know what to do with it?
You know, that's a tough one, because I was pulled into this. It wasn't I didn't feel it was a choice. In a way, it was the only choice I had, because the only thing I could do well, and still is the only thing I'm real confident about. But for me, it started with just, you know, I was reading books. I was on a quest. I think, you know, that old saying about when you're ready, the student is ready, the teacher will come. Everybody's your teacher. Absolutely, everybody's your teacher. When I was having a very ordinary day once, and somebody literally, a librarian, handed me a tarot deck and said, "You need to read these."
Really?
Yes. And I thought, oh well, what the heck? Nothing else going on in my life right now that's profound. And I turned them over, and they spoke to me. And then somebody called me the next day and says, "You need to go to this bookstore." And I went, and the bookstore was an average metaphysical store. I mean, I liked it. But on the way out, there was that little sign that said tarot class tomorrow. And I thought, oh, what the hell?
So something really was pushing you toward this.
I think really, if your heart is, I think the important thing in life in general, you have to keep your heart open for love. And I think whatever is supposed to come to you, it can find you better when the light is strong. And I think that's, you know, if you're really sincere and in love with life and keep open, you'll be led. The gods will come and get you.
What a wonderful advice.
Yeah, and that's probably the advice. I think the sincerity If you really want, instead of like, what do I do now? Do I find the teacher? Do I get the books? Yeah, I did all that stuff, but you know what? I think it's really coming from a place of love. And the Dalai Lama's been going all over saying that.
Yeah.
It's like, don't we get it yet?
Apparently not.
Yeah. So I think with anything in life, you open your heart.
Yeah. And then you just be guided and things
and then
will
if
happen.
something opens up and it has anything to do with your path, you go.
Okay. Well, this has been really interesting. So how would people get in touch with you if...
Well, I have a website. My web address is soothsayershare.net.
Okay.
In honor of the Renaissance Fair, I am called Soothsayer Share.
Soothsayer Share. S-H-A-R-E.
Yeah. My name is Sharon. Nobody knows that, but I changed it to Share because I think your name should be your mantra. And since this is what I'm doing with my life, hopefully, I just changed it to
I have always
Share.
wondered about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the story.
They have an email or...
Yeah, psychic@soothsayershare.net.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And we'll say goodbye for now. Please remember, subscribe to our show so you don't miss any moment of our exciting and wonderful stuff. Thanks.